Good evening. This is Charles with the Exodus Logistics Learning Center, uh, America's #1 dispatcher and freight broker trainee. Tonight is Wednesday, the 25th of September, 2024. This is our fourth week of the month, fourth week of September on our middle of the week, Wednesday. So our last training for this month will be this Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Um, so here we are. How's everyone doing? People are still coming in. Carlos is coming in. Hey, Helena, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
All the way in the UK.
Yes, not for
Shout out
long
to
though.
the. What time is it
Yeah,
over there? It's a 6 hour difference,
yeah, it's 11 p.m.
5 hour difference. Okay, 5 hours.
Yeah, 5 hours with the East
Okay,
Coast.
okay. So if you guys hear some noise in the background, I got people in here mounting TVs and other because I got a 1907 square foot office space, and I sublease some of the offices. So people are moving in and putting their stuff in there, furniture and stuff like that. So how you doing, Carlos? Mr. Carlos?
I'm all right. How are you?
All right. Are you I'm assuming you're a student.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
because I already finished the course and everything. I'm just getting most of the paperwork together, whatever.
Oh, your documents and stuff like that?
Yeah, I pretty much already finished them actually today.
Okay, what's your last name, Mr. Carlos? 'Cause I don't this is the first time I've seen you actually.
Hayes, Hayes. I talked to you maybe a couple of weeks ago before I actually
Okay.
got the course.
Okay, okay, cool. I just keep track of the students. I know it's a lot. I got a lot of students over the 5 years.
Yeah, I bet.
Some names I recognize, others I don't. But so I just ask, are you a student or a guest? So that's cool. So
Right.
what's going on with everybody? Well, first of all, let me give you some current news. Um, I don't know if you know this or not. I was going to say as you know, but I don't know if you know it. But the East Coast ports and the Gulf Coast ports are threatening to have a strike or a shutdown October 1st. And the reason being is because of the ILA, which is the International Longshoremen's Association, some 85,000 longshoremen workers who offload the containers from the vessels onto the chassis or the rail cars on the East Coast. They are in contract negotiations, which is going to, they have a master contract, which is about to expire with the USMX, which is the United States Maritime Association. Those are the group of carrier companies, the shipping lines, basically Maersk and all these other companies, um, to renegotiate the terms of the contract. Right? They want more money, basically. Right? They're longshoremen. They want to get paid. They say we're working for you guys are making billions of dollars, some case trillions of dollars. So we want more money. So their argument is we want more money. We want to renegotiate this contract, which is about to expire. Give us more money. And then another argument is too. There's a lot of automation that's coming to the ports, so they're feeling threatened that their jobs are going to be taken away because to be replaced by automation, as in other countries overseas. There's a lot of automation at the ports of other countries overseas. The U.S. needs to catch up with that process, but apparently they don't want to do that because they want to keep the human element of workers working at the port so they can make money and feed their families, so on and so forth, right? So, but that's the current issue in the supply chain today. So the question becomes, so this is a dispatch class. So the question becomes, where do independent freight dispatchers fall in this situation? How will this affect us, right? Or will it even affect us, right? Well, let's think about it for a minute before I give my thoughts on it. What do you guys think? What is your opinion on that? How would that affect the supply chain from a dispatcher's perspective? What do you guys think?
There'll be fewer jobs out there.
Say
Okay.
again.
Fewer jobs, less hauling. It's
So
going to back everything
fewer
up.
jobs for the dispatchers.
And the drivers.
Okay, so granted, it's not going to last that long because it'll affect the economy where so that the government will get involved and step in and resolve it. But right now they are not. The Biden administration has spoken and said the two parties that are arguing or that are contract negotiating need to come up with a solution themselves. They need to resolve it themselves. They don't want to step in unless it involves the economy on a larger scale. Okay. So, and we have less than a week for that to happen because again, September 30th is when that 6-year contract between ILA and USMX expires. So, and then if they don't come up with an agreement the very next day, October 1st, they're gonna strike. They're gonna not work basically. So here is from the shipper's perspective, the shipping companies, the shipping lines like Maersk and all these other companies, OOCL and things like that, Hapag-Lloyd, uh, ONE. Here's their solution. They're going to try to reroute some of those deliveries to the West Coast, right? Which is going to take longer times. It's going to congest an already congested West Coast ports like Long Beach, Los Angeles, and things like that. It's just going to cause a lot of congestion, and there's going to be a lot of backup of already backed up vessels off of the Pacific Ocean, some 25 to 50 miles. It's like a parking lot over there right now. So can you imagine most of the vessels coming from the East Coast joining the West Coast vessels on the Pacific Ocean, right? It'll be a parking lot. It almost be like DMV, waiting your turn. You get those numbers at DMV now serving 3,100, whatever, right? Um, but it's a blessing and a curse because now it can cause an influx of rates going up because there's going to be a greater need to have those goods shipped inland to their destinations to be delivered, which is going to raise the rates for the drivers to get paid more money, which is going to help you, the dispatchers, to kind of get those loads moved for those drivers. You see? So there's an indirect possibility of that happening. Or it can just go completely south, right? Who knows? But theoretically, that's the idea. So, okay. So, but any other thoughts? No other thoughts. Okay, cool. Well, so outside of that, what are some questions you guys may have? Hey, Alina, you unmuted.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I was going to say that it would make the rates go up because it would mean more dispatching for everyone else.
Right. It's the law or the art or law or concept of supply and demand.
Yeah.
Right. There will be an influx of freight needing to be moved and a lower number of carriers, which is going to cause the rates to go up. So the load to truck ratio is going to increase. There's going to be more loads, but they're going to be congested coming out of the West Coast. And remember, those loads that were from the vessels that came from the East Coast that have to go back to the East Coast, either on the rail or on a truck.
But just so they're coming, is it from the ports, did you say? Did they have to have that special, we talked about it not last, I can't
Yeah, so
remember.
any driver that has to go into the ports, you talk about the qualifications of drivers
Yeah,
getting
they have
access
to
to.
have the SCAC, is it? Or
Well, so yes, so the trucking company, let's say I'm a driver for a trucking company. We have 3 assets, 3 trucks, 3 power units that go to the ports. The company itself, or I'm an owner operator, a one-man show. I own the truck and I operate it. Either case, that person's company will have to have what's called a SCAC code,
yeah.
SCAC, Standard Carrier Alpha Code. Let me write that on the board, a whiteboard for you real quick. The credentials for accessing the ports if you decide to entertain this fiasco that's getting ready to happen within a week. So uh so the first thing is the SCAC, Standard Carrier Alpha Code, right? Either the single carrier, the single owner operator, or the trucking company has to have that. They have to, and the driver has to have a TWIC card. Remember what TWIC stands for? Transportation Worker Identification Credential. Okay. And then overall, the company has to be registered with the UIIA. Okay, uniform intermodal interchange and facilities management agreement. That's what that stands for. It just says that you register with us. We govern the ports. You have access to registering with us. Okay, so and it's your company that has to do that, right? Or the owner operator if they're a one man team again. But yes, so those are the three. Well, I'll put it in order. It has to be UIIA first. You got to be recognized first by the port people. Then your company has to be identified with a certain SCAC number. And then the driver who's actually getting into the ports to get the containers has to have an identifying card, a TWIC card. Okay, so that's the order. Okay. So if you get a driver who's power only, you're sending him to the ports, this is what you need. Or this is what the driver, I should say, needs. I'm sorry, not you, the dispatching company, but the driver would need. Okay. And that'll help them. And then along with the TWIC card, they have to have their driver's license to show that too. And then the paperwork, getting the port because they need to see the what shipping line they're going to and what container number they're picking up. So they can be able to identify where they're going, right? Because some ports are a maze. They don't have signs or anything like that. You have to ask people, stop your truck and stop and ask people where's Maersk shipping line or where's OOCL shipping line or where's stuff like that. So, but yes, that's the process. So it's great even from a dispatcher's. We're considered the low end on the totem pole, if you will, in the hierarchy of logistics, right? If you look at the hierarchy of logistics, right, and you see at the top, the customers are at the top, right? The shippers, the customers, the manufacturers, the distribution centers, and things like that. They control what gets moved, how it gets moved in the supply chain, right? So you figure the shippers, manufacturers, customers, and things like that. And then you have the brokers, right? They are arranging for the transportation through the shippers. So if you have the brokers here, then who's next? It would be the carriers,
Oh.
the trucking companies, the carriers, right? And then, of course, indirectly, you guys, the dispatch services, because you're independent. You're independent in relation to this hierarchy, but your relationship with the carriers is a direct relationship because you're working contractually, specifically with that carrier, with that truck driver. You follow what I'm saying? So, but that's the hierarchy right there, right? So, and then the shipper controls the money. Sometimes the brokers try to control the money. That's what drives the market down because the brokers take too much off their margins. Their margins are too high. So most standard brokers' margins should be between 15 and 20% profit margins, but I've seen as high as 35, which is ridiculous. So they take a tender and they'll eat into it at 35%, which doesn't leave much for the carrier. You see? And then indirectly, of course, for the broker. The dispatcher. So once the broker gets the load tender from the shippers, they need to be a little bit more courteous, if you will, or generous with the money, right? So let's say for example, with a $3,000 load tender that a broker gets from a shipper, let's say I'm a broker and I got tendered to me 10 shipments a week from a customer, a shipper, and each shipment was $3,000. My profit margin was 20%. So what am I expect to make in dollar value of that? What is 20% of $3,000? How much?
I think it's 600, isn't it?
That's correct. 3 times 2 is 6. Correct. So how much is left out of the tender for the carrier conceivably after you take off the 600? How much?
2,400.
2,400.
2,400. It's basic math at this point, right? But what if the market or that lane that load was tendered in, what if the market on the load board, the spot market, dictated a number that's below what you have left, what you have available? Let's say the market said it was 1,900 or 2,000. you got 2,400 to play with, right? So you can post it on a load board for a little bit above market to kind of motivate the carriers to move the load, right? Let's say you posted at 2,000 or even you got 2,400. So if you posted at 2,100, maybe even 2,200, a carrier is going to call you. The more above the market rates that lane is regularly paying to the carriers, the more above the market it is, the more likely you're going to get a phone call from a carrier. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So if I got 2,400 to play with in the tender after I took my margin off, I'll post it for let's say that it's 1,900. Let's say I posted it for an extra $200 above market. So what is that? 21, right? So I posted on a low board for 2,100. I got 24 to play with, so I'm left with an additional 300 after I get a truck to move that. So 600 starting off, an additional 300. So I made 900. Correct?
When you say who is
The
that?
broker, the
Oh,
freight broker,
broker.
the freight
Okay,
broker,
right.
right? The freight broker, the person who is in charge of arranging for the transportation of the freight by getting it from the shippers and brokering it or selling it to the carriers. Now, you as a freight dispatcher, you come in this relationship on the carrier side because you have a direct relationship with the carrier. So if you see that load posted for 2,100, which is above, and you know it's above the market, you're going to call your carrier and say, "Hey man, I got a load in this lane that normally pays 1,900. It's paying 21. Do you want it?" Of course, the carrier is going to say yes, but you need to communicate that with them and let them know, because the one thing as a dispatcher you do not do is book a load without your carrier knowing that. Okay, you never want to book a load without your carrier's knowledge. Because number one, you don't know what their current status is before you book that load. You don't know if they're under a load waiting for the delivery or if they're empty. You could book a load. Let's say they had a load on their trailer that was going to deliver. What's today? Today is Wednesday. So let's say they had a load that was going to deliver on Friday that's on their trailer, but this load right here is booked for Thursday. I mean, it picks up Thursday from the customer. Is that or is that not a problem?
Yeah.
It is a problem
Why? Explain to me why.
because they've already got a load on the.
Right, his truck, he has a full truckload, FTL, full truckload, and it delivers Friday.
Yeah.
Friday, this one delivers, yet the one you saw for 2,100 picks up on Thursday. That's an impossible task, right? Unless the receiver for the Friday delivery can receive it a day early, Thursday. If that's possible, then you got to factor in time. Or what time can the receiver for the Friday delivery receive it on Thursday? Can they receive it like at 6 a.m. early in the morning? The better. The earlier they can get it off the trailer, the better on Thursday. So you can possibly make this pickup on the same day, Thursday. Because let's say this one picked up at 2 p.m. Let's say it was an appointment time at 2 p.m. If you can, and this was a Friday delivery, if you can call that customer for the Friday delivery and say, "Can we deliver this? We got this. We're in your city right now. I know we're scheduled for Friday, but can you receive it Thursday morning?" They'll say, "Sure, yeah, we ain't got nothing going on right now. I know we scheduled for Friday. We can grab it now." And you'd be like, yeah, "Hallelujah," right? So because you can get this off your truck, get paid for that, and then make your 2 p.m. delivery, especially if it's in the same like radius if the two shipments are in the same radius. Let's say a 50-mile deadhead from this receiver to this shipper to pick up. You see? So but that's rarely going to happen. Normally, if you got a Friday delivery and you look at a load and it books on Thursday, it picks up on Thursday, it's going to be impossible to do that. You may have to ask this company, this broker, "Hey, I know it picks up on Thursday. My guy has a delivery on Friday. Can you call your shipper and maybe schedule it for Friday at 2 p.m. so once my driver gets offloaded, he can head straight over there?" And the broker will try. He'll say, "Yeah, let me call them and see if they'll pick it up. They'll do an extra day, right?" and see if that happens too. So you can still try to save this load or grab this load because it's a good paying load for that lane. You might still be able to grab it. But if not, if the broker says they won't do it, then you would just have to find them something else once they deliver this one on Friday and just, ignore this one and just try to find it something else for it. So that's something that happens too. You just gotta, as a dispatcher, you just got to step in and see what else you can find for them. So that's why it's important to communicate with your carrier to know if whether or not they have a load under their trailer when it delivers, and then when you're looking for loads, you got to factor in the time piece. What time is the next load picking up? And is it an appointment time? Is it a first? Is it an appointment time or is it what's called FCFS? FC, I don't know if you guys are reading the modules or the notes or anything, but what does FCFS stand for? F
First come, first serve.
First come, first serve. I know that got to be my girl Shiante.
Yes, how you doing?
Low. So first come, first serve. These are first come, first serve are usually 24-hour shippers. So whoever gets there first and is in a line. So if you got a line of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trucks in line waiting to get into the gate to get to the facility to get the security gate to get checked in, right? I can spell security right. To get to the loading dock to get a load, you got 5 trucks here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you're right here, then you're not going to get served until the other 3 in front of you get in and get out. Let's say there's like 2 loading docks, only 2, right? So this one and this one is going to be taken care of. However long it takes to unload and unload them and get them out of there. Let's say typically drivers give facilities to load and unload, they give them 2 hours free before an accessorial, what's called detention, kicks in. And the driver gets paid for detention after they give 2 to 3 hours free. It depends on the broker carrier agreement and what's on the rate confirmation that you should pay attention to when you are booking the load for your carrier, right? You should look at the details on the rate confirmations and whether or not the broker pays for an accessorial called detention, right? And then you'll say, well, is it free after 2 or is it free after 3? Free after 2 is better than free after 3 because that's just an extra hour you're going to give them. And then anything after those free hours, you get paid on an hourly basis, or your driver, I should say, get paid on an hourly basis, anywhere between $50 to about $150 per hour. Okay. So, but that's what first come. So what's the opposite of first come, first served? You have appointment times. You may have a scheduled appointed time when your driver arrives at the pickup location. They're early, and you may call the broker, or the driver may call the broker, or the driver may go to the gate and say, "Hey, man, I know we got an appointed time, but we're here now. Will you receive us now?" And he'll call up to the building and ask the logistics manager, and they'll either say yay or nay. They may be ready now, even though he's an hour early. They may take him, and that'll help the driver because it gives him an hour head start, right? So little things like that you want to be mindful of. So as a dispatcher, you're doing the little things for your carriers, the little things. You're the I dotter and the T crosser for your carrier, right? The carrier is the person who's doing the driving. He or she is doing what's called the heavy lifting. They're driving the vehicle, right? You're doing the back end administrative stuff, making sure everything is clarified and understood. You see, you just got here now in this beginner course, you just got to learn what that is and how it's done. And that'll come in time. You'll have that moment you say, aha, I got it. Because everything comes with practice, Anything you do over and over again, you get good at it, right? So any questions? I don't want to talk your heads off. No questions? Everybody's good? Where you at in your status and all that stuff? What's going on? Always make sure I want to ask questions before we move on. No questions? Nope.
I got a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I just started I'm working during the day now, 7 to 3:30, right? How would I be able to dispatch, or would it be hard to dispatch with this schedule?
Would it be hard to dispatch with the schedule? Um,
Well, not 7 to 3:30. Let me take that back. I'm gonna say 8:30 to 3:30 because I'm in the school system now.
okay. So 8:30 to 3:30 p.m. and you're on the Eastern Standard Time, right? East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
8:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. So most brokerages, and that's work. So most brokers and carriers, but most because dispatchers want to keep pace with the hours of the brokers. So brokers have two different shifts. And the earliest sometimes they'll come in at 6 a.m. to get their office stuff set up, things like that. Uh, and they won't start making calls or start trying to move their loads to maybe like 7. So between 6 and 7 a.m., right, to lunchtime, 12 noon, right? That's the lunch period, right? Eastern Standard Time or whatever time zone you're in, right? Lunch, right? During that time, they're trying to move their AM shipments for their customers, their morning loads, right? And then after they come back from lunch, let's say they take an hour lunch, around PM, uh, to about 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They're doing their afternoon shift, getting their late loads moved. So those are the hours of the mainly of the brokers. Okay. Now, if you can uh, work your schedule in to try to find work for your carriers in between those hours, let's say so 8:30 to 3:30, you're working, you don't have a break anywhere, you can't. Are you on a computer? Do you have access to a computer? Are you just dealing with the kids, or what is your schedule?
Yeah, I have my computer with me every day. So roughly around anywhere between 11 and 12 is when I'll go to lunch.
Okay, so that 1 hour you can probably do something. Okay, so but from 8:30 to 10:30, getting ready for lunch, you're occupied because you are busy working, right? 8:30 to 10:30,
Uh-huh.
right? And then you take your lunch early at 11 and eat 11 to 12. So you're busy between that time. And then when you come back from lunch at 12, I guess from 12 to 3:30, you're busy also, right? Doing what you do.
Yes.
So and then are you off on the weekends or?
Yes, off on the weekend.
Okay, so this is from 12 to 3:30, right? So you get that 1 hour to maybe either if you don't have a carrier, you get that 1 hour to try to find carriers. If you do have a carrier, you get that 1 hour to try to find loads because you only got 1 hour because at 12 the brokers go to lunch. Some brokers may not. Some on average they go to lunch that time. Okay. Um, but some may still be during your hour time on lunch. They still may be available. And then also some carriers communicate. I mean, some brokers, I should say, communicate via email. You don't necessarily have to call in to book a load. You can book a load via email. You can click their onboarding link to onboard a carrier, even while you're working during this period. Because while you're working, you have your computer in front of you or your laptop, or
Um,
do you have to be attentive to whoever you have to be attentive to while you're
yeah, I
working?
have to be attentive
Okay.
to the kids.
Okay. So these times you can't do anything then. You have to be attentive. So,
Right.
okay. So that 1 hour then would be now another option for you would be if you have a partner or someone you may bring on as a sub dispatcher who can who has more free time than you than your schedule to um dispatch your carrier for you and you give them a percentage of your percentage. Let's say you charge 10% for your dispatch fee. If you have a sub dispatcher in there, you may split that with them. 5% for you and 5% for them, or you may give them more of it since they're doing more of the legwork. You may give them 7% and you keep 3% of that 10%, whatever you determine, because you get the carrier, but then you have them dispatch. Of course, you're going to either have them come through training or you train them yourself based off of your experience to understand the process. So that could be an option too, a sub dispatcher. So while you're at work, and then during your hour lunch, you can check on that sub dispatcher to see what they're doing throughout the day, right? Or at around that time, see what they're doing and just get a status update. That could be an option too for those who now it is possible there is one time of the day that I tell people that you can work and dispatch. If you have a third shift job, right? Let's say from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., right? That's an 8 hour shift. You're at night, right? You get home at 7 a.m., you might sleep for like 2 to 3 hours, right? Let's say 2 hours. So you get up at 9 a.m., kind of take a cold shower, refresh yourself. So now you got a 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. that you're dispatching during normal hours. You're within the same realm of the broker's time, right? You fall within that scope. And then at 5 p.m., you take a break, you shower, eat dinner, and go to bed at 6, sleep 5 hours to 11, and then do your job again, 11 to 7, right? Depending on what your job is and requires more sleep or not. But yeah, so if you have a third shift job, it's possible to do the third shift job and then do the dispatching during the day with the proper rest and nutrients and things like that. Because you still need your body still needs to recycle itself. Your brain needs to recycle itself with the food and the energy and the nutrients and all that stuff. It's still about health as well. You want to keep that in mind. At least to the point where if you get to a point where your dispatching income matches or exceeds your work income, then you are at a crossroads to decide whether you want to leave your job and do dispatching full time, which is the ultimate goal. What's the point of you guys being here if that's not what you're thinking, right? Right? You're just wasting your time directly and mine's indirectly. Right? If you're not here to ultimately be your own boss and leave your 9 to 5, leave the proverbial plantation, if you will, right? Because it is, some jobs make you feel like an indentured servant because because I was in a position where I was answering to a supervisor who was younger than me, and that ate me up, right? Not that, I mean, because of the age thing, because I feel, well, I should have been in a better position. I got this younger person telling me what to do, but he was more skilled at the job. So I can only accept that. But I'm sure some of you have some of those thoughts too, right? You got somebody else who's younger than you telling you, well, you can't tell me what to do. I'm older than you. I'm more experienced. Well, obviously you're not. Otherwise you wouldn't be in that position, right? So, but yeah.
So we
So
can call the brokers 6 a.m., 6 to 7. Is that
Um,
suggested?
I would no. So 6 to 7, they're coming into your office, getting their computers on, getting their coffee together. So I would say around 7:38, right?
Okay.
Uh, either a call. I would recommend the order would be an email first that early in the morning, and then a call closer to 8:39. You can start calling them, but you can email them 7:30 because they're checking their computers while they're getting their office set up. They're checking their emails on the computer, laptops, or their phones that early in the morning because they're just getting into their office, turning their lights on, brewing the coffee, getting the donuts, whatever, right? So, or if they work from home, they're doing the same thing. Uh, so yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then at some point you'll develop a pattern
Yeah.
of how
Mhm.
it's done. You may make a mistake here and there a few times, call them too early or too soon or whatever, and then they'll let you know it's kind of too early. Call me back in maybe another hour or so. Then you'll pick up on the pattern with most brokers around the same time, a standard time, and then you'll say, okay, everyone wants to be called around this time, give or take 30 minutes, and then you can go from there and decide. So, but yeah, that's how you would handle the whole the job market thing. If you work during the time that parallels or it's the same time as the broker, you may only have a few hours to do it, right? Or you can consider the option of bringing on a sub dispatcher. If you work a third shift, then you have definitely more time. You can work, you can do the 8 hours along with their time and call them all the time, as it relates to your carrier, trying to find them loads, book them loads on the load board. So, but Shantae, that's a great question though, because I'm sure there's others here who work a full-time job still and needed to know how can that be handled and if it's even possible, right? If it's a realistic thing, right? So that's a great question. Anyone else?
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
So I'm in the teaching position, but I get to pick when I want to work.
And what are you teaching? You could leverage. You could teach the students how to dispatch it in order to get to the computer.
So basically, I'm doing
system.
subbing at this point.
Okay, so you can substitute them because right now in the school systems they don't talk about like things like business ownership and financial literacy. They train these students to go work for an employer. They send you through school to get in debt, to go to college, to get in debt, and to work for an employer for the rest of your life, paying off the debt, which is totally, that's a psychosis in my opinion. That's a psychopathic mentality to have. I'm going to school for 12 years and I got another 4 years of college, go in debt on a high interest student loan that I'm not going to be able to pay off for another 20 years. So they're going to have my retirement paying off the loan, right? So it doesn't make sense to me. So why not teach financial literacy or entrepreneurship and things like that? Why not give them the alternative? Schools don't teach that because they're not funded to teach independence. Okay, just so you know. Schools are not funded to teach independence. They're funded to teach dependence. For you to depend upon loans, depend upon, a degree, right? To get a degree, right? What does a degree mean? Right? A college degree. It only means you have a certain level of understanding. That's what a degree means. You don't have the complete understanding of a certain subject. I got a degree in math. Okay, what does that mean? I don't completely understand math? What degree is it? Is it 100%? Is it right? Somebody said indoctrination. That's correct. You're being indoctrinated. So why not teach financial literacy? Right? Why not teach that? Financial lit. Why don't they teach them how to start a business, how to balance a checkbook, how to open up a bank account? Some simple stuff that you're going to need in the real world. I don't want to learn about underwater basket weaving. I don't want to get a degree in that, right? Or any other of these non-marketable uh, courses or subjects, right? And no shot to the professors who are at the universities teaching and things like that. I mean, that's fine. That's what you do. That's what you don't have a choice, but well, you do have a choice, but but that's what you do. So, but I think the whole in my opinion, particularly the U.S. educational system is a farce. That's just my opinion, and I'll leave it at that. So I'm gonna move to UK. Helena, give me an apartment over there. We go to the pub and have a few drinks, and
Yeah,
so
have a couple of beers.
yes, but
Yeah.
so it's if you think about it, because and you're putting stress on your family too. Some students may not be able to pay their loans off, and they have a family member as a co-signer. Have you ever heard of that? Your family member is a co-signer on the loan that you may
Yeah,
not be.
they're making the parents bear the responsibility.
That's correct. So when you become a co-signer on a loan, if the signee can't pay it, the co-signer is responsible, right? So these are things so being an independent dispatcher or having your own company, whether you're an independent dispatcher, trucking company, or freight broker, you're more independent. Now, granted, if you don't work, you don't eat, but that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of being your own boss. You control your destiny, right? As opposed to being dependent on someone else controlling it, right? So it's motivation for you. If you're your own boss, you're more motivated to do the right thing and to do it correctly, right? And to be careful of who you select in your circle and who you deal with from a business perspective, right? So those are things you have to consider. So now as a dispatcher, it's easier for you as a dispatcher because it's just you until you decide to scale your company and bring on sub dispatchers, right? Later on, I often say, because people ask me this question, well, how many can I handle by myself before I have to scale my business and bring on help sub dispatchers to help my dispatch company, my independent dispatch? So I say 3 to 5 carriers. If you could provide the same level of service to the 5th carrier as you did to the 1st carrier, or to the or whatever that number is, 3, 4, or 5. When you get to a point where you can't provide the same level of service to the fourth one as you did to the first one, then it's time to scale your company and add a sub dispatcher to assist you with that. Right? So Chasa is coming in. Let's see what Chasa is. She is legacy dispatcher. She's the does the mentor program. So we'll see
So,
what's.
Sean, can I just ask you a quick question regarding
Yes,
that?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the 3 to 5 carriers. So let's say if now we have 7 or 8, that subcontractor, would that be like a 1099?
Exactly. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So let's say you got your first carrier, right? And this is Renda, right? Yeah, Miss Renda.
Yeah.
Okay, I see you. So you got your first carrier, right? And you did every, and let's say it's a dry van carrier, right? It's a dry van. And you killing it with the carrier, booking the loads, you're grossing them right now in this market. Let's say you're grossing them 7 to 9 grand per week. They love you because right now that's about what the market is getting them, or a little bit below that, maybe 6 to 8, right?
Mhm.
Now, about 5 to 6 years ago, it was more like 8 to 10, 10 to 12. But right now this is around, this is realistic, close to realistic as possible. So let's say you get another carrier. So what would, if you want to scale your company, if you're doing everything correctly, you're finding the loads, you're calling the broker, you're negotiating the rates, you're getting the rate com, you're following the driver along the path to pick up at the shipper and deliver at the receiver, you're invoicing for them. So you're doing everything correctly, right? For this one carrier. And you say, okay, and I still got a lot of time in the day, because once I dispatch them, all I gotta do now is find them their backhaul, their next load out of there, right? So um, that's what you do. And you say, well, that was easy for this one carrier. So you say, okay, let me get another carrier. If it were me, I would get another carrier of the same equipment type,
Mhm.
right? As opposed to a reefer or a flatbed, I would get another carrier of the same equipment type and try to put that carrier in the same lanes with the same brokers that is paying that 7 to 9K to the first carrier. Does that make sense? It'll make your job so much easier. And you're doing the broker a favor because you're providing them with what's called capacity. You're giving them trucks, assets, right? Which will give you what's called leverage when you're negotiating with the broker. Because I'm giving you trucks on a regular basis. I'm getting under a dispatcher agreement with the same equipment type carriers, putting them in your lanes and keeping you running and making you happy because you're looking good now, Mr. Broker, in front of your customer, your shippers. So give me some extra money for doing this for you, right? Indirectly, you see? So you say, okay, you put this second carrier, drive-in carrier, in the same lanes, let's say Norfolk, Virginia to, I don't know, Houston, Texas, right? And you're sending them all over the country. You're sending them on tri-hauls or line hauls that are paying weekly $7,000 to $9,000. So the second carrier is getting 7 to 9K. And let's say you charge 8% as a dispatcher, okay? The point here is to streamline your company and do it smarter and not harder, right? Would it not choose your equipment type? If you have a niche or a niche, choose your niche and then focus on moving carriers on under that one niche until you become comfortable and you want to scale with a different equipment type. But if it were me, make the money first, right?
Mhm.
And so how do you choose the right equipment type? Well, based off of the area, with the exception of Helena, because she's in Europe and the UK, but the US dispatching company, you choose the carriers based off of either where you live or based off of where the equipment types run and how and what type of money they make the most. And we saw that in our, remember the DAT trend lines and the, you know, the national van rates, reefer rates, and flatbed rates, and then the load availability in 123 load board where it shows the volume of high volume of inbound and outbound freight, and you can tell what pays the most. And then you can say, well, I can either start in my area because it's close to home for me, or it doesn't really matter because you can dispatch anywhere. All you need is internet, phone, and laptop, right? Look at Helena. Helena's in the UK. So there's the proof you can dispatch anywhere. She is in Europe. Europe. The United Kingdom, London, right? So she is over there. So the excuse that you can't dispatch anywhere does no longer exist, right? I got a student who's in Indonesia. I got a student who's in South Africa. I got a student who's in Australia, Melbourne. I got a student who's in, let's see, she's in either Thailand or the Philippines. So it does not matter. The internet is worldwide. That's why they call it the World Wide Web, WWW, World Wide Web, not just US Wide Web, World Wide Web. So you can do it anywhere. So that excuse no longer exists. It never did exist, but some people thought it did, but it no longer exists. It does not exist that you can not dispatch anywhere. So I used to dispatch in the park while my dog was running around handling his business. I'm on the phone with my laptop and I'll just say, hey, come here. And then he'll come and sit next to me and I'm still got a cup of coffee and I'm dispatching because I'm using my mobile hotspot, my Wi-Fi hotspot, and I'm on my laptop. This was about 7 years ago when the rates were gravy. The rates were great. I was doing 8 to 10K on my reefer guys and then about 8 to 10K on my flatbed guys. So again, it's no excuse. But here's the thing though, right here. You did the first guy, you did pretty well. You put the second guy under the same broker, under the same lane, you're doing pretty well, and you still can handle that. You get a third one. Now you're scaling your company. You're building a company. And you put them and you do the same thing, 7 to 9K. So your broker probably asks you, man, where are you getting these carriers from? You got some good carriers. I'm gonna keep bringing them as long as you keep paying them what you're paying them, the rates. You may have 2 or 3 brokers now at this point, because to get 7 to 10K a week, you probably won't be able to get it from one broker unless he gives you a dedicated lane. But you may have to get it from maybe 2 or 3 brokers and then bounce back with them on back calls and things like that, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Then it comes to a point where you may have to get to a threshold. You say, if I get a 4th carrier, I may not be able to provide the same level of service as I did to the previous 3. There is when you have to decide to scale and bring on a sub dispatcher to help you do that, to help you maintain your level of service like you have for the first 3. You may have to get a sub dispatcher for that 4th one. That's what I'm talking about as far as scaling your business and making sure, because all drivers want to be satisfied and all drivers deserve your level of service, the same level of service, right? You should not deviate, give one driver more commitment and customer service than you do the other driver. There should be a balance there. There should always be a balance there, right? Because the moment it becomes imbalance, the risk of losing the driver that's receiving the imbalance increases, right? You'll lose that driver because they'll be able to feel it. They'll feel it in their pockets. You're going from 7 to 9K a week to 5 to 7K a week. They're gonna feel it, right? And they're gonna wonder like, what's going on? Why am I not getting those loads again? Things like that. So any questions there? Make sure you guys understand that point.
Yeah, I did want to ask off the back of that, how you handle when the dispatcher needs to take time off. So,
That's a great
question
because so sometimes I would take time off in a way that I would book loads for my drivers maybe a week or a week and a half out to give me enough time to go on a little mini vacation, right?
Yeah.
So I would try to find long distance OTR loads because most of my carriers were OTR anyway, over the road. So I would find them maybe an East Coast towards the West Coast load that's paying like $6 or $7 grand. That's going to take them about 4 days to do. So I can take a 4-day hiatus, but I'll still have my phone available. Or if you're at the point where you have a sub dispatcher, then they can come in and substitute for you. Like Shiante is substitute teaching, they can come in and sub for you while you go on vacation and exhale and clear your head and things like that and reset. They can come in and continue with the process, because when you bring on a sub dispatcher for your company, hopefully you will have established what's called an SOP. You guys know what an SOP is? Standard operating procedure, right? A standard operating procedure for your company. And it's based off of commonalities in your company. Some of the basic things that happen in your companies and what the procedures are for that. So if something happens with the broker, how do you handle that process? Something happens with the carrier, how do you handle it? What's the procedure for that? Or what's the procedure for that? Standard operating procedures. And it's based off of repetitive experiences you have with those parties, with the broker, with the carrier, with the other dispatchers. How was it handled? That can be what's called an SOP, or what's called a KB, knowledge base. What's the knowledge base? What's the solution to this particular problem? Well, here's the knowledge base for it. Because you may experience certain things over and over again that's similar with different carriers and different brokers, and here's the knowledge base solution for it. So those are some of the things too, Helena.
Yeah, business continuity is what we call it over here, the standard operating process.
Oh my God, I hate you guys. I'm so jealous of the terminology over there.
Yeah. We don't have that where I'm at the moment, and that's a problem, because I was just saying to my boss that if I go on holiday, vacation you call it, no one can cover my work.
So with this here, so let's say each carrier we had 7 to 9 per week. Let's say you met the middle of that, 8K, 8K, 8,000, 8,000 per week, and you charge 8%. So 8% of the first, so basically 8% of 24,000, because there's 3 of them times 8 is 24, and then 8% of that. So you would figure out what you will make per week. So 8% of 8K is what? 8 times, that's 560, 56, right? $560 for the carrier, and then times 3. So what's 560 times 3? What's $560 times 3 for the 3 carriers that you're managing? It's like 1,500, 6 times 3, 18. So it's 1,680, I believe. 1,680, right? I don't know if someone's doing the math there. I guess I'll open up my calculator. But $560 times 3.
Yes, it's 1,680.
1,680, there you go. So I just took the 500 times 3, that's 15, and then 60 times 3 is 180, and just added the two together, right? So that's little quick math. 1,680 per week for 3 carriers. Do you think you can live off 1,680 per week? What's 1,680 per week times, what is that, 4 weeks in a month? Let's do the annual. Let's do the gross for that. You're grossing that. So 1,680. I think I can make it off that over here in this country. Let's see, times 4 weeks in a month. That's 60, and then times 12 months in a year.
About $80,000.
Yeah, 80,000. I think I can live off. It's not 6 figures, but it's close, right?
Yeah, I could definitely live off of that.
I can live off that. Depending on, like, now if I'm on the northeastern part of the country, like New York and stuff like that, things are kind of high over there. A Burger King meal is like $20, so you're not gonna. But yeah, I can live off $80,000, and I can live off 50% of that, because you just change how you live, and you below your means and stuff like that. So, but we in this country, in this culture, we've been kind of spoiled to. It's I call it reverse syndrome. The people who are poor act like they're rich, and the people who are rich act and dress like they're poor. You can't even tell, because they shop at Walmart. The wealthy shop at Walmart and spend less money, and the less affluent are buying things that they cannot afford to impress people who don't even like them.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Have you experienced that before? Have you seen that before? So
Yeah.
it's crazy out here. I don't get it. So
I buy high-end things from Goodwill and thrift stores. So
what? What's Goodwill? I go to Goodwill. What? I get some good stuff. I get good parts
yes.
from Goodwill. I get good hardware parts and stuff like that. I live in Walmart. My wife will tell you. I'm telling myself now. She said, "You need to stop. You need to shut up." I I go to Walmart, so I live in Walmart. They see me coming, so yeah. Because it's just a pair of clothes. I'm not paying for somebody's name. I just if I feel comfortable in an outfit, I can care less where it's from and where I'm spending my money,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, but anyway, okay, are we any questions there? I want to make sure you guys having some understanding of this stuff, that process and the questions that were asked.
Well, just quickly off the back of what I just said, so would you just discuss with your carrier, let's just say you've only got one,
Yeah, you let
would
them, yeah, you let them know I want to
yeah,
take a you let them know specifically what days you want to. Let's say this is September. Let's say I want to take a week long break the first week of October, like October 1st through the 5th, like that 5 days, that 1 week vacation. And the carrier may even say, okay, well, I may not run that week just so you can have your vacation. Let's schedule our next load once
okay,
you get back. Or he'll say, schedule me something that'll keep me out long enough so you can
yeah,
enjoy those days. So if you got to carry that's a great relationship. If you in that type of relationship with your carrier, that's a great relationship that they're willing to work with you, right? So that's longevity. That tells you that you should stick with that carrier and do what you can for that carrier because they're doing what they can for you. So you're helping them make money to keep their bottom line, feed their family. Of course, they're going to want to try to accommodate you because they feel you're doing all this for them. So of course you need a break. If I was to carry, I'd be like, of course, I know you need a break. You're making me seven to 9,000 a week. I'm gonna give you a break. I'm satisfied with that. I'm happy with that. Either schedule me a load that's going to keep me out during that week, maybe two loads with a backhaul, a line haul on the backhaul, or I could probably let me tell you what days I can what week I can take off and see if you can change your days to match my weeks I can take off. So let's talk about it. Let's communicate, you
mm,
know. So that's probably that's an I wouldn't you love to be in that type of relationship with your carrier?
yeah.
That's ideal, right? So, all right, guys, any other questions of anything like the processes, where you are in your journey as far as what are your next steps? Any questions about navigating the back office you may have? You may not know where something's located, or you want to understand load boards. Do you want to get into load boards again? Anything? Let me know. Kim, you got your hand raised? Go ahead.
Yeah, remember I told you before we got on the call what's going on with me. I can't do it no more. I gotta get off. I gotta go get out this light. My
Okay.
eyes.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, yeah, you got to go rest. Yeah, I was saying, yeah, you rested, watch the recording, and if you have any
Mhm.
questions outside, give me a call. All right.
All right, I will. All right,
Okay.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
All
Yep.
right, bye-bye.
I do have a question, Mr. Charles.
Hey, Irma.
Sorry, I I was kind of had to pick up my son, and I had to stay silent. But finding the new carriers
Uh,
to do like the marketing, where is it that we find them in the load boards?
so certain load boards have certain features to find carriers. So, and then also there's a area in on the Safer website, the register for the new individuals who have applied for their operating authority. They are registered in the Safer website on the FMCSA, right? If I'm a carrier and I go for my operating authority and I pay my insurance and pay for my UCR and BOC3 and fill out the application and it gets submitted to FMCSA, they're going to put my information in their register as a new person applying to be a carrier. I haven't got approved yet, but that's a place to target for new carriers to kind of solicit. Another area can be, I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm sorry. Let me go back. One load board is Trucking Planet. Now theirs is kind of dated, I believe, so you might have to double vet them just to make sure that they are still active. But Trucking Planet, where you can go in here and uh, which is one of the load boards we give you access to. You can go in here and log in. And okay. So now once we're under Trucking Planet, you will go under, if you see these headers at the top, right, all across the top, you will select carriers, right? And it breaks it down by category of carriers. Drive-in, flatbed, step deck carriers, refrigerated carriers, hot shots, and box trucks. So we tell you to focus on the three major ones, right? The drive-ins, the flatbeds, and the reefers. So let's say you click drive-ins. You'll click a drive-in, and now it gives you a listing of those carriers, right? Displayed on a page, 50 per page, right? 50 per page. So this says 1 to 50 of 576. So you got 576 dry van carriers total across 12 pages right there. And then you can even actually search some entries, right? Let me see if I can enter a state and see if they give me just all California carriers, right? So now you enter a state and it categorizes it only the carriers in California. Or what state are you in, Irma?
Texas.
So let's search entries. So let's say Texas. And now it's putting it mostly in Texas. A lot of Texas, it has some other states in here too, but mainly it'll have where they are, what lanes they're coming from out of, what lanes are they from, and then what lanes they're going to. So, and then their phone number, the name, the equipment type, which is drive-in, 53 foot, and the units, right? So, and the name of the company. So all of this data is right here, but I would double vet them because sometimes Trucking Planet doesn't update as often as I would anticipate them to. So I would cross-reference their information in the Safer website, so which is right here. And it's in our back office, the Safer, which is in our tools and resources area.
Yeah.
You go in there and hit Safer, and it'll come up with this. And then I would just take and copy the name of their company, their MC or DOT, if it lists it, and paste it into Safer just to see who they are. Like, so let me click on the first one, and it doesn't list their MC and DOT. But remember, with Safer, you can look up a company based not only off their DOT or their MC, but also off of the name of the company. So you just hit the name radio button, and then let's go back to what's their name right here, Hinton Eagle Express LLC. I'm copying that name, and I click the name radio button and paste it in the value, and then see if they come up. So right there, Hinton Eagle out of Greensboro, Alabama. Right there.
I'm sorry, before you had kind of searched by, I think it was like listing the newest ones. I don't know, you sorted by that. I remember that it showed like the newer MCs.
Oh, in the register, in the Safer register?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go there too.
Either
So
on this Trucking or Planet or on the other one, but I remember you searched it by that, and it kind of showed like the newer companies.
correct. Yep. So this one,
MC, I'm sorry.
right. So you found this company here, and they are an active carrier. So just to cross-reference, just to make sure, for hire, interstate, all they check all the boxes so far. They're an active carrier. They have an MC and DOT. Here's their DOT, and here's their MC. And they're a one-man team, an owner operator. They are for property, so they're for hire, interstate, over the road, and general freight. And then you just now here's something you need to look at when you are vetting carriers through Safer, okay? And you're checking their inspections for the last 24 months, right? This area right here. This one had 12 inspections. Okay, that's fine. But vehicle inspections and driver inspections are important. Hazmat, unless the carrier is hazmat endorsed, you don't have to worry about this column. And unless the carrier is going to the ports, you don't have to worry about this column because IEP stands for Intermodal Equipment Provider. They provide the chassis to go to the ports, right? So you don't have to worry about IEP. You don't have to worry about hazmat unless your carrier is hazmat endorsed. But these first two columns you do. So they've had 4 vehicle inspections. You guys see that? 4 vehicle inspections, and one of those out of those 4, they've had 1 out of service. So 1 in 4, which is 25%, right? 1 divided by 4 that's a quarter, 25%, right? So they are above the national average, 22.6%. So that would be a red flag for me. Anytime your out of service percentage is above the national average, that is a red flag, okay, for the vehicle. So that means that their vehicle is not up to inspection, right? Not up to code, if you will. Something's going on with either the truck or the trailer. And then the same thing with the driver. You have driver fitness too, driver drug and alcohol consortium, driver physicals and all that stuff, right? Compliance. So the vehicle, the combination of the vehicle and the driver makes up what's called a category called compliance. You have to be compliant in order to be out here on the road. So now with the driver inspections, the driver has been inspected 12 times. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that number is too high, whatever. In any case, but of the 12, they were out of service. Something they did put them out of service 4 times. So 4 out of 12, that's a third, 33%.
Yeah, that's high.
That's high. Well, look at the national average, 6.67. So you're like 5 times above the national average. So was you drunk? Was you drugged up? Was you out of shape? You didn't pass your alcohol drug consortium? You didn't. So the reason why the driver national average percentage should be lower than the vehicle's national average percentage is because the driver controls the vehicle. It's a stricter national average percentage for the driver because we're all about safety in this industry. Right.
And that's over 24 months.
And that's so yeah, they do. It's in a 24-month period. So over 24 months, this driver got inspected 12 times. The driver had a driver inspection, and then they had a vehicle inspection in 24 months. Now the four vehicle inspections over 24 months, that's perfect. That's fine. It doesn't seem like a big deal. In 2 years, in other words, in 2 years, 24 months, your vehicle got inspected 4 times. In other words, when you pulled into a DOT inspection to the side of the road when you had to pull over, they inspected your vehicle 4 times, right? But you, the driver, when you pulled in there, you got inspected 12 times. So you must have drew some kind of red flag with the DOT officer at any of those inspections you pulled in. You either had marijuana on your breath, you smell like alcohol, or you were stumbling, or you were big out of shape when you got out the truck, or whatever, right? But your percentage out of service percentage, they said when they put you out of service, guess what? That truck cannot move. Yep, that truck cannot move. Now, if it's a vehicle out of service, the truck can't move. If it's a driver out of service, the driver can't drive the truck. So another company driver can come get the truck and move it out of the DOT inspection property. But if it's vehicle, they gotta get towed or whatever, right? That truck can't move. And imagine pulling into your carrier dispatcher pulls into a DOT location and they got freight on the truck and they get a vehicle failure inspection out of service. How would you handle that, right? From a dispatcher's perspective, right? So the onus would not fall on you. It'll be embarrassing because you'd be like, dang, I didn't realize I got to keep track of my carrier. This is a grown man or a grown woman. I shouldn't have to keep track of them, let them know that they are owner operators. These are adults, right? So they should be responsible enough to keep their moneymaker vehicle and bodies in order and to stay in service, right? They shouldn't it shouldn't be an issue where the dispatcher, have to worry about whether or not my carrier, when they pull into a DOT inspection, that there's going to be an issue and I can no longer dispatch for them. Because that's the only thing that's going to happen. If you can no longer dispatch for them, you just got to find another carrier. You're not going to, the only thing you're going to lose is the potential to make money with that carrier. You're not going to lose any, well, I can't say sleep. I mean, you may have a relationship with them over time because you may, man, how did you get yourself involved in this, whatever, right? But, that's just what it is. So when you're vetting carriers on Safer, be careful with this when you look in this area. I just showed you how to read it so you can understand and bring it to the carrier's attention. Like, man, what's going on with you? I don't think I'm gonna be able to work with you because I don't think you're gonna pass a lot of brokers vetting of you when I send you to book loads with the brokers. They're not gonna want to work with you because they see that you've been out of service, your vehicle's been out of service, and you have been out of service way above the national average. So yeah, so you don't want to. So this kind of helps you guys. The Safer website is kind of a high level check before you decide whether you want to work with certain carriers, so you can avoid that headache, right? You definitely don't want to put yourself in that position. So, and then what also Irma was talking about was the other the register, the FMCSA register. Let's go there. So you
Okay,
can go here.
before we read there, what's hazmat? I know you said we don't have to worry about that, but
Hazmat is hazardous. Hazardous is short for hazardous materials. Hazardous materials. So any type of materials that have a chemical makeup or chemical balance that puts us in the realm of being hazardous, either through touch, taste, or inhalation. If it's hazardous like that, right? So any poisonous gas, liquids, things like that, any chemicals that has a very acidic pH, so much so you can't even touch it or smell it. It'll affect your body. Certain fumes you inhale that has to be kept in a tanker for hazmatic purposes, protected. So things like that. Hazmat. And then IEP, I think you got what IEP stood for, right?
right, intermodal equipment.
Provider.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, intermodal equipment provider. The intermodal equipment provider. Intermodal. An example of intermodal equipment would be a chassis trailer that the truck drivers pull in to grab the containers. So you have chassis companies like Track Intermodal, FlexiVan, and forget the most popular DCLI. That's the most popular one. That's actually number one because of the number they have. So DCLI, FlexiVan, and Track Intermodal. Those are the top three chassis companies. So they are IEPs. Okay. So what Irma was saying, in Safer, you have an area right here where it says other information for this carrier. Okay. And under L&I, licensing and insurance, you click that, right? And you just check the box and go through the process, hit search. You're brought to this stage. Now we're on the same company, the Hinton Eagle Express. We're just going behind the scenes to find, well, as a matter of fact, let's go back. License right here, licensing and insurance. Up here at the top was the choose menu item. I'm sorry. So the choose menu item, the drop down box, you select FMCSA register. Okay. And the options right there. And then you hit go. Right there. You come to this screen right here. So the FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, in 2-week increments, comes out with any changes in reports, right? PDF reports or HTML reports of any changes in the transportation industry that affects their brokers, carriers, freight forwarders that are registered with them, that their MC and DOT number or FF numbers are registered with them, right? So you can click. Now I will click the report that's oldest, not the newest one, which is the 25th today. I will click one that's the oldest, a PDF report. It may not show it, right? So I'll go back. I'm gonna click the HTML report right here, and it takes you to this register. So this is what Irma was speaking about. So in the register, it has listed So again, when a carrier applies for an authority as a motor carrier, as an owner operator, so they can transport for a fee the goods, right? They apply for the authority. Before their authority becomes active, part of the process is their information is listed in this register, right, as a matter of public record, so that people can see and potentially protest the fact that they apply for an authority. Now, do protests rarely happen? No, they don't. But it's there for protection purposes, right? So these links right here is going to navigate me through the process. Instead of me scrolling all the way down, I'm going to click the link that's going to take me to the area of where I should be looking for, right? So I just click that link. I can go back to the top, register. I can go to the bottom there. You see what I'm doing back and forth. So I don't have to scroll through the whole website. So I'm going to go back to the top. And because you got name changes, certificates, permits. Permits are given to the freight forwarders. Licenses are given to the freight brokers. Certificates are given to the motor carriers. They are all types of operating authorities. They're just called differently for the different people. Okay, I just want to make sure you guys are clear. So each person has a type of operating authority. They just operate differently. Like a freight forwarder operates as a freight forwarder, so they need a permit. A freight broker operates as someone who arranges for the transportation, so they need a broker license. And then a motor carrier has an authority that operates as a motor carrier to transport the freight, so they need a certificate, they call it. So those are the different. So that's how you can distinguish the type of authorities also based off of what it says. Okay. So we're going to go down to, let's say, miscellaneous and new applicants, right? Old filed, old applicants, new applicants. So right here is the types of applicants that we're looking for, right? So in this area, I'm gonna scroll down here a little bit for right here, fitness only. Remember SAFER, SAFER, the acronym Safety and Fitness Electronic Record. That's what it stands for, SAFER. So the fitness only category is where you will be looking for the types of carriers you want to dispatch for. Why? Because the fitness only category has the type of carrier that you are dispatching for right here. So a motor common and contract carrier of property except household goods right there. You're looking for the common carrier, not the contract carrier, but the common carrier of property except household goods because they can haul freight for any broker, the common carrier. The contract carriers are the ones who are contracted with direct customers, direct shippers. So the fitness category has your type of carrier you're looking for in this category. Now let me show you how to read the result sets of this category. Oh, she said, can you zoom in? Okay, yes, I can zoom in. Let me zoom in for you. Okay, see if it comes up a little bit more. There, let me try one more time. Boom. So that's a little, hopefully that's a little bit better. Okay, is it better? The better viewing? The fitness category? Fitness, motor common carrier of property except household goods. Okay, good. So this is how it's read. I'm gonna start with the FF because it's listed in alphabetical order. F comes before M. So the freight forwarders are listed before the brokers and the motor carriers. So, but they're read the same way. So it gives you your authority number, your FF or MC number, the date that you filed, right? Not the date that it became active. Some people get this confused. They think this is the active date that it became active. No, this is the date that they filed with the FMCSA and the date that the FMCSA put this in the register. So this person filed and paid that application fee on the 6th of September. The applicant or the company and the representative of that company. which is sometimes it could be the same person. This could be the same person. This and this could be the same people, the applicant and the representative. But that's how you read it. And then you go down, and then you'll see their information, their FF number, the date they filed, the applicant, the person, and then the type of authority. Remember, FF, freight forwarder of property except household goods. Okay? So following that theme, let's scroll down to the M's. So I'm going to come to the first M right here. Here's the MC number, the date filed, the name of the company, Al's Inc., doing business as Al's Auto Inc., and then the representative is also Al's Inc., right? So they represent themselves. And then the type of authority. They are an interstate common carrier except household goods. That is exactly the type of carrier you're looking for. An interstate common carrier except household goods. Now, it may not be this specific one, but when you're looking at the Safer website in the back register, these are the type of, now here's another one, interstate contract carrier. So he's dealing with direct shippers. So the key words is right here, common and contract. You're looking for common. And then you can just simply cross-reference the MC number or the name of the company with another Safer tab you open up in your browser and go in there and look them up. And then do a cross-reference. You see? So you got to do a little homework, but it's worth doing that little homework to save a major headache, right? Because you may vet the wrong carrier incorrectly and then, have to deal with that a little bit later on down the line, not too far down the line, but you'll realize that once you get to the point where you cannot book a load for them with a broker because they don't meet the qualifications of the type of carrier you're looking for. But if you do that little homework up on the front end, it'll save you. Here's another MC number, but if you go down here, this is the broker. Broker in arranging for the transportation of freight excluding household goods. So this person is a broker. So you're not dispatching for a broker. Well, you can't. They're brokers, right? Even if they're asset based, you don't want to deal with them, right? So, but here's a perfect example of one. MC number, the date that they filed for their operating authority, the name of their company, Streetway LLC, and then the representative of the company is Aaron Edmond. So he may be the owner of the company. And then they are interstate common carrier except household goods. So that's how you read this area back here like that. And then you just basically scroll down and pretty much cherry pick to see which ones will make sense. So I think Cormer Logistics is probably a type of carrier you're looking at. So now, how do you know the equipment type, right? How do you know if they're the type of carrier you want to go after? Well, even if you copied this and went into Safer and looked them up by their name, right, or their MC number, I usually go by the name in Philly, right here. So they're a carrier, right? They got two trucks and two drivers, and they check all the boxes, right? They don't have any 2-month, 2-year inspections yet because they haven't gotten approved yet. They haven't, they got approved, but they haven't did any loads yet because they're new, right? So, and then you go in here and then the only way you'll find out what type of equipment they have is when you call them, you're going to have that conversation. Hey, what equipment do you have? Dry van, flatbed, or reefer? Oh, I got a box truck. Oh, I got a hot shot. Oh, I got a cargo van. What happens if you hear that? You did all your homework and then you hear that in the conversation. You call me, I'm Cormer Logistics LLC, and you say, hey man, I see you in the Safer. You registered this, that, and the third, and then what kind of equipment you have? I see you're in Philly, man. Philly's a good area, a good market to run for dry vans and for reefers. Maybe not flatbeds. You may have to go down towards the southeast. Which of those equipment types do you have? Oh, I have neither. I got a box truck. And you're like, oh, fudge, right? So, because you don't want to dispatch for that, you may not want to dispatch for that type of carrier. So you did all this work for nothing. Well, not for nothing because you got the experience now, but you're not going to get that carrier. And then he might be adamant. Oh man, you can't dispatch for me. I got a box truck, man. I really need your help. I really need a dispatcher. You know, then you might give them a chance just to get the experience and going through the process of working with brokers and going through that whole workflow of booking a load for them. But in Philly, for a box truck, good luck finding the load. That's all I can say. Okay. Even on the DAT boards, unless you're working with Amazon or working with some kind of supplier like Mattress Firm or direct customers, you're going to have a hard time finding freight for your carrier. And they know that. That's why why do you think the carriers with a specialized equipment types need dispatchers? Because they know it's a challenge to find loads for them. That's not rocket science, right? That is not rocket science. So, what's the average? Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to ask a quick question because I'll probably have to log off to go to bed. But you might have answered this already, but would you recommend for a new carrier to go under the authority of a company? And I listened to your call from Sunday, and that company sounds terrible. But would you recommend to someone else that a new carrier does that for a year or two first?
Yes, I do, with this caveat. If the company that they're going to run over, or if the company that they're going to run under's authority provide them a great opportunity, meaning that their rates to run under their authority is decent, that the carrier can make money, pay them what they want to run under their authority, and the carrier can still make a decent wage. If the carrier assists with them as far as providing loads for them, or recommendations at least for loads, in other words, if the company works with the carrier, if they're just going to take advantage, if they're going to take advantage of them like an Ebenezer Scrooge or somebody, then I would recommend, if they're going to charge like 40% to run under their authority, which is ridiculous, egregious, but because most companies will charge anywhere between 20 to 25% to run under their authority. Their weekly settlement. Let's say the carrier is making, let's say they make 10,000 a week and they run under someone's authority, they charge 20%. So they're going to give them $2,000 of the 10,000 and the carrier takes home 8. That's fine, because to run under someone's authority means you got to put the VIN number of that truck on the company's insurance, and they may charge you to pay your portion of the insurance to run under their authority. You see, so it depends on the factors. It depends on the circumstances and the factors. So yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Someone asked a question in the chat. What's the average time or length of time before the authority is approved for owner operator? Is it different for everyone? So it is different for everyone, but the standard, so FMCSA give the whole process is up to 90 days, but most people get it done in less than half that time, like 21 days, 21 to 40 days, because the main thing that's going to cause a delay in the time is getting the right insurance coverage and getting approved. Everything else is pretty much straightforward. Your application is straightforward. Your BOC3 is straightforward, which is your process servant for the carrier, and your UCR is straightforward. The only thing that's going to be challenging is finding the right insurance, the commercial insurance company for the carrier, and whether the carrier qualifies based off of their credit or other factors, and how much they got to pay for insurance. So it's different for each carrier, so that can hold them up. Everything else is pretty much even keel. So, okay.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. Does everybody's good on the Safer website and the register in Safer, as well as Trucking Planet, looking up carriers for different equipment types?
Yeah.
Okay, so carriers for dry vans, flatbeds, and reefers.
I have a question.
Yes, who is iPhone?
Lavion.
Hey, Lavia, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I heard you just says is everybody understanding the registry about safer? So all of us need to register. You need, as a dispatcher, you need to be registered in safer.
No. I said, does everybody? No, no. To answer your question, no, you don't. But I was saying, does everybody understand the safer website and
Oh,
the
okay, okay,
and the register feature in the safer website? Because the safer website
okay.
has a register in the back of it where it lists all the new applicants, the people who apply for the operating authority as a motor carrier. It lists them as a matter of public record, and it's called the register. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. No. As a dispatcher, you don't have to register for anything. You do not need an MC or a DOT to be a dispatcher. All you need is your business registered, I guess, for lack of a better word, uh, set up and active, and yeah, and then on a contract or an agreement between you and that um, motor carrier to operate. Okay, Miss Chasa, I think Chasa, are you still here?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't. Okay, because I think someone had a question for you, but I think she had to leave because she had some issues with her eye, like cataract and stuff, and the light was bothering her. But she was just wondering, did you receive her email when you were looking for people to mentor? But I told her you had already chosen someone and have moved on with that. So, but you came on for a reason. I'm assuming you want to talk a little bit about the upcoming cold coughing, or what? Did you have anything to add?
I don't know what you already mentioned, so
I didn't mention
I'm just
anything
gonna.
as it relates. I didn't mention anything as it relates to you, legacy, and the cold calling thing.
Okay, no worries. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chasa. I'm with Legacy Dispatchers. I do pop in from time to time on the trainings with Charles. I was a student of Charles, and I still pop in because the logistics industry is always changing. And if you have an awesome instructor like he is, then he's always keeping us abrupt on the changes. For example, the strike that's about to go down. But on another note, I am hosting a cold calling session on October 4th. It is free. It's going to be on Zoom. We are going to be calling carriers. If you are someone who doesn't feel comfortable talking to carriers, or you just want to grow your business, then I strongly advise you jump in on the Zoom call. All you have to do is send me an email to Chasa at legacydispatchers.net, and I will send out the Zoom link to you. It is going to be from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, August 4th. So you don't necessarily have to attend if you aren't going to be calling. Let me back up.
October 4th, right?
October 4th. If you just want to come in and listen to some phone calls to see, what it's like to talk to a carrier to try to gain their business, you can join us. You don't necessarily have to make phone calls. If you want to make phone calls, and I do encourage people to shoot their shot, put your feeler out there. The best time to call carriers if you're nervous is when you're doing it with a group of people, because everybody's nervous, right? Everybody's nervous. Nobody really wants to speak. And nobody's passing judgment. I mean, there's no such thing as a bad call, and you will tell a difference in a great call. I'm going to be calling carriers. I'm going to be asking whoever attends the cold calling session to critique me. Hey, that went well. Hey, that went bad. Whatever you have to say in critiquing me, I'm open to it, because that's what makes me a stronger dispatcher when it comes to trying to rev up some business. So I hope that you guys can make it. Like I said, it's free. The only thing I'm asking for you is 2 hours of your time. If you can't make it at 3, we're going to be doing it until 5 p.m. So if you got to jump on at 4, that's perfectly fine. I'll be sending out invitations, but in order for you to get an invitation, you have to send me an email letting me know that you want an invitation. And sometimes Charles pops in during the cold calling session, so it's pretty fun. It's a way to get your feet wet, because at the end of the day, he's given us all this knowledge, but it's pointless if you can't call carriers, because that's the way you're gonna market your business. I mean, people have flyers, they have emails, but a lot of these carriers, they're old school. They want to talk to somebody. And if you're nervous because you feel like you don't know all the knowledge, that's fine. That's why I'm there. And you'll see that Charles has a cold calling script in the back office. So you are welcome to use his cold calling script. You'll see when I start doing my cold calling, I'm more of a fill the carrier out. But when I first started cold calling, I needed a script. But now, since I've been dispatching for so long, I pretty much feel comfortable, just for lack of a better word, just ad-libbing it when I'm on a phone with the carrier. So I just wanted to let you guys know October 4th, which is next Friday. Yeah, which is next Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. I am hosting a free cold calling session, and I would like for everyone to come. I'm not going to force you to get on the phone or anything like that, but you guys need to hear the flow of a conversation. You need to hear when a driver puts you on the spot, how you can get yourself out of that sticky situation. So that's all I wanted to say, Charles, when it comes to the cold calling session.
Okay. Can you repeat your email address?
I put it in the chat.
Okay.
Typed in the chat, chasa@legacydispatchers.net. I also put the date, the time and date, which is 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday, October 4th. And then cold calling session, and I put free. So it's in the chat. And then if you save the chat to your computer, you'll have it there as well. And then I'll always say the chat on my end, just in case. But yeah. Any other questions? I see Irma, you're unmuted.
Yeah, Miss Chas, or will you be sending the link, the Zoom link?
Yeah, so once I receive your email that basically says, "Hey, Chasa, I would like to join the free cold calling session on October 4th," I will then reply with the Zoom link.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
And also, Charles, I don't know if Valerie's in here. She said that she was going to try to make it, but tomorrow is our last day of working with us, working with me with the entrepreneurship, the apprenticeship program.
How did she do?
She did awesome. She did awesome. She got a lot of real life experience.
Yes.
Oh, hey.
Oh, what the hell? There she is.
Hey, Charles. Hey, Chasa.
Hey, Valerie. I was just telling Charles, tomorrow is your last day with me. We've been doing this for 4 weeks.
Oh.
I know. Valerie gained so many gems, Charles. When I first started working with her, she was a little nervous, and she definitely blossomed. I asked Valerie and Charles, if you don't mind, can you talk about your experience with the apprenticeship program? Because it is something that's going to be ongoing, that I am going to be offering to the Exodus Logistics Learning Center students. But I would like for you to be as candid as possible and talk about your experience with the apprenticeship program, so that people can really, so people can hear about it and be excited and be interested in being a part of the apprenticeship program.
And let me mention this disclaimer. She is not a paid actress on this commercial.
No, not at all.
Go ahead, Valerie.
Not at all. Okay. Hi, everyone. Oh my gosh. The apprenticeship program with CHASA is just a phenomenal program. So let me start. My journey started obviously with Exodus Logistics with Charles, which he gives you so much, in information, education, and I have to take it from there and then go into CHASA's program because that's where you're building your foundation is with Charles with Exodus Logistics. And the reason why I chose him, and he doesn't know this, because number one, he has the most comprehensive. I did my research, and he has the most comprehensive. Hold on, someone's calling me. I need to end. Okay. All right. He has the most comprehensive program out there, in my book. And I'm sure that's the reason why you guys chose him as well. And with Exodus, also the name for me, and the same thing with Legacy, the reason why I wanted to be in the apprenticeship program. So with Exodus, I have to take it here because that's just who I am. Exodus means to exit, biblically. I'm going to put it like that. And he helps you to exit from where you are if you want to expand yourself, like he was talking about with degrees and so on and so forth. But what I'm saying to you, if you want to exit out of the rat race, so to speak, out of a place where you're not satisfied, you want to elevate yourself, that's the word I'm looking for, then through this program that Charles has is absolutely excellent. It's your way out to exit that, into a better place, into entrepreneurship, to elevate yourself, to be your own boss. Now you have to be able to apply it. And that's where CHASA comes in with Legacy. And I love her, her business name, Legacy. And that's another reason why I wanted to be a part of the apprenticeship program, because I want to build a legacy for my family. So now that I've exited exiting out of where I was, now I'm building the legacy. I'm putting the work in now. I'm applying it. I'm through the apprenticeship program that CHASA has. So now in applying it, in the application part of it, she teaches you, so very much to how to effectively execute what you have learned through Exodus. And how do you effectively do that is by OJT, on the job training. And I'm telling you, she covers all it from problem solving, talking to brokers, negotiating rates, talking to your drivers, reading your rate cons effectively, making sure you communicate effectively with your drivers as well, invoicing correctly so that you can get paid, of course. Like I said, you have to effectively be able to execute what you have learned. And that's what the apprenticeship program is all about. So I say, hey, go for it. Learn all you can learn through Charles. And Charles is always there for you. But he helps you to exit. And when you exit, you have that apprenticeship program, you have that mentorship through CHASA, so that you can, have to coin the phrase a little bit from the military, be all that you can be. If that's what you want to do, I'm telling you, go for it, because you will not regret it.
Wow.
I don't know what to say. I'm at a
Wow, that's a great testimony. That's a great and CHASA has a gift. I just texted her. I said, you have really affected her life, and you have a gift.
last day.
And you see that, and you see and Valerie, you can see the light in her smile if you're looking at her on the camera. She has an energy about her that's like, wow, she's glowing right now, literally. I gotta go find a pair of shades to put on, because she's blinding me. She blinded me with that smile. So she's like, yeah, it's like, yeah, Letty said your smile says it all. So
Oh, thank you.
she's really gotten some value out of that. That's great. I'm very proud of Chasa, what she's done with Valerie. Of course I'm proud of Valerie too, that she came through Exodus and got
Mhm.
what I intend to give, right?
Yeah.
Which is all of me. You know, I
Yes,
give,
you have.
yeah. So
Mhm.
that's just a
Yes,
test.
Irma.
Yeah, that's just a testament to me to keep doing, to keep going, keep doing what I'm doing. Because if I can just touch one person, then I've
Mhm.
done my job, you know. Of course I want to touch more of
Absolutely.
them, you know.
And you know what, Charles? We were dealing with real time
Mhm.
situations.
Mhm.
We
I
Val,
know I got some calls about it. So yeah, I know.
Valerie,
Yes.
tell him about this morning. Tell him what happened this morning. It started at 7 and it ended at
Yes.
9:45, and it felt like we were working all morning. Tell him my scenario. What happened this morning?
Oh my God. We came in hot this morning, as in landing that plane to level it out, that type of hot.
Yes.
So yeah, the carrier was upset. Um, and he, just to kind of summarize it, he wanted to give the loads back that was already booked for him. He was upset because of an address. He didn't want to um call into the broker because because he felt as though it was totally unnecessary to do. So he wanted to give back those loads that was already, and he was hanging off the chandelier literally first thing this morning. And so,
I was hanging off the chandelier too.
yes, Josh was like, that's enough. I'm like, okay, all right. So
So let me go ahead, Valerie.
go
Tell the
ahead.
scenario. You want me to tell it?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So this morning I woke up and I said to myself, my driver has to pick up a load, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think they gave us the address. And some brokers do not give you the address until you're ready to pick up the load. That's just their policy because there's a lot of double brokering.
That's correct.
And he was agitated because he felt like, I have a dispatcher.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to my dispatcher. You don't have to talk to me. I shouldn't have to talk to you, but they refused to talk to me. They wanted to actually hear the driver.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I woke up this morning, I called him and I said, I don't think we got the Raycon's address. And it's standard to accept the rate confirmation that has the city and state to where the driver is picking up and where the driver is delivering, but they don't necessarily have to give you the full address. They want you to call in when you're empty, and then they will send you an additional or another rate con with the address on it.
That's correct.
So he looked at the rate con and he said, you know what, Chasa, I don't have the address. So I said, okay, I'll call him and get the address. So I called him. I said, listen, I need you to send me an updated rate con. My driver's going to be empty soon. And I had him on the phone with me. And he basically was telling my driver, no, I'm not going to send it to you. You have to be empty first. My driver was upset. The call got disconnected. And the driver called me back and he's like, give him back the load. That's it. I don't want to talk to brokers. This is what I pay you to do. I'm not going to steal their load. If they want me to move their load, then they need to stop playing games and just give up the address. Why do I have to call? It was something so minute, that any other driver would have just called and got the address. But he wanted us to give it back. And I had an issue with that because we spent the day before looking for loads. So we booked him for that load. We booked him for 3 loads. And the third load was with the same broker. So I was like, if we give back this load because my driver is in a funky mood, then they're going to take the third load, which was paying even better. They're going to take that back too. So I got off the phone and I was like, you know what, Valerie, that's it. I'm about to give my driver his walking papers because we did not work this hard the day before for him to start acting up just because he has to call in to let them know that he's empty. So I said, Valerie, just listen to the call. I got on the phone with my driver and I basically told him how I felt, you know? And at the
Wow. That's
and so she did. I don't know what happened to her phone.
I don't know,
So
we
she
lost you
did.
for a minute, Chasa. She might be driving in the area.
Yeah,
But so
she did.
so the question becomes, what would any of you other dispatchers would do in that situation? How would you handle it? Would you handle it similarly or would you handle it differently? So that's that's an example of a real world experience that you may have to.
At the end of the day, he stayed on the load. Now, mind you, I'm already ready to just good conversation.
She dropped. She's in a bad area.
Going in and out. Yeah.
Yes, she's actually dropped off the call. She's about to call back because we
Oh,
lost. But yeah, so
so
how would you
she.
handle it?
I'm
Go ahead.
here.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my second driver, I dispatch for him on an as needed basis. He books his loads, and when he can't find a load coming out of a certain area, he calls me and he says, "Hey, Chasa, I need you to get me out of this area. Let me know what you can find. I'll call you back." And that's basically our relationship. That's how I dispatch for him. He put himself in Orlando, Florida. So guys, when you start dispatching, the last place you want to send your driver is to Florida because they are literally trying to pay these guys 98 cents a mile to go back up. So,
Wow.
yeah. So at the time, I didn't have a load for him. My husband is a broker, and from time to time, he has loads that come out of Florida. So when I reached out to him, he didn't have a load. Later on that afternoon, he had a load. So I said, "That's perfect. I'll give it to my driver." My husband's trying to onboard him. He's having an issue. Finally, my husband says, "Your driver's insurance is pending." And I'm
Wow.
saying to myself,
What?
my driver knew that his insurance was pending. Guys, they know. Don't think your drivers don't know what's going on with their insurance. He knew that his insurance was pending, but he never told me that. So my husband was like, "Listen, I can't give him the load because his insurance is pending." So I called him on speaker with Valerie and I told him what happened. And he decided to come clean that he let his insurance lapse one day. As a result of him letting his insurance lapse one day, when you go onto the FMCSA website, it says pending. When we're trying to onboard him, it says pending. Nobody is going to work with your driver if their insurance is pending because the brokers are not going to trust that he's going to drive the lane or drive the trip and it's not going to get damaged. So they don't even want to work with the driver.
Right, because insurance pending means no insurance. You have no insurance.
Right.
It's pending. It doesn't exist. You got it right. It's not active.
Correct. So not only is this an issue with him getting a load with my husband, but this is also an issue with me trying to dispatch any load with any other brokers. They're all going to see the same thing. So, P.S. guys, my husband was able to get an override. And trust me, that only happened because he is my husband. But no other broker is going to get an override for a driver whose insurance is pending, which this driver conveniently left out when he told me he needed me to find him a load. So,
right. So the issue with that is so the broker assumes the risk now.
Yes.
Because he put a load on a carrier who cannot insure the load. So what happens if something happens, right? So now, I'm just wanting you guys to know that as well. So the broker assumes the risk because a driver is driving, he's hauling freight on his trailer without that freight being insured.
Correct. So I said all of that to say this is what the apprenticeship program is about. Day-to-day problems that pop up that we have to deal with as dispatchers. And you have me there to guide you through that. That's not something that you're going to learn in Charles's class because it's not hands-on experience in real time. But if you get into the apprenticeship program, guys, once you leave the apprenticeship program, you should be able to go out and start your own company and start dispatching. That's the goal.
Yep.
So thank you, Valerie. I'm going to miss you. Tomorrow's our last day.
I know.
Such a pleasure to work with.
Likewise, I'm going to miss you too.
So,
So
Chasa,
much.
as far as that is concerned, when will you be choosing another person to mentor for that 4-week period?
So I'm looking into November, and it's going to be a 4-week program. It's going to be Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 11:30. So if you have, another job or something like that, you still can do it if you work in the afternoons. I was a little disappointed because I set up some interviews with a couple of people and they never even showed up for the interview. That was very disheartening because it's like we're out here trying to work for ourselves. We're tired of working for the man, but people can't even make the interview to really get going with their business.
So
And
one person had a question for when she came on earlier. Hopefully one of those persons was not Kim. Kim came on earlier. She had to get off because of the cataract in her eye. But she was asking me to ask you about, did you receive her email? It maybe went to your spam or something like that. So I don't know if hopefully Kim was not one of those persons that you couldn't interview.
No. The people that I interviewed, I got their email and I sent them at a time for us to meet.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
They didn't meet. And the sad part is, Charles, when you're giving out something for free, people don't appreciate your time.
It is not until you charge for it and then they invest their money in it that it's more appreciative because, right? So
yes, that's what it is.
Yep. So
yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Hi. How y'all doing?
Hey, Monica.
Hello.
I'm interested. Hello. I needed you 2 weeks ago.
You're the one who's asking for your husband, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Monica, you and I can definitely have a conversation.
So I put
Beautiful.
Monica, I put Chasa's email in the chat. So if you can access the chat, you can get her email, Chasa at.
I got it.
Okay, so the reason why I'm saying that now because we're ready to get off the call tonight right now. But so if you want to reach out to her, you guys can have that conversation and then go from there. Okay.
Ms. Chasa,
Okay.
who sent you an email, but I don't know. I never received the response, so I don't know if you ever got my email.
What's your name?
It's Irma. IRMA.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, Chasa, we pronounce it Irma. We might be mispronouncing it, but it's Irma.
That's fine, no worries.
Yeah.
I always tell people it's like ear.
Oh, Irma. Okay.
That's how you pronounce it.
What I want to do is ask you to send me the email again. I'll keep an eye out for it. I'm checking my spam. I don't see anything in my spam. What's your email address?
It's coming from the Science Hosting LLC.
Yes, I'm just doing a search for the word science and nothing's coming up. So if you could please.
SAENZ.
SAENZ.
Oh, SA. Okay, hold on. SAENZ.
Maybe. Well, it didn't come back as it didn't return to me. So
yeah, it wasn't.
Oh,
it wasn't.
Goodness, no. I found it. Okay, Miss.
Send you a book.
Sent me like 6 paragraphs, and each paragraph is at least 15 sentences.
I know.
Very detailed, And what she did, which was even better, was she sent me a copy, I think, of maybe like her certificate or her score on your final quiz, Charles. So
Yeah.
yes, I did get it. And I will be reaching out to you. I was very impressed with it. I'll set up something, but I need to let you guys know that it's no longer free. I'm just putting it out there. It's no longer free. There's going to be a price point to go into the apprenticeship program. So if you still are interested, you can definitely send me an email. I can definitely give you an interview. There are some requirements for you to be a part of the apprenticeship program, and one of the requirements is completing all your modules and completing that final exam for your certificate. Because that's how I know that you have the foundation for us to work together.
And part of that will be if you complete the program, because you came through Exodus, I can offer like 20 to 25% towards the cost of taking her apprenticeship program. So Exodus will, so I will foot 25%, 20 to 25% of the bill as an extra incentive. So
we didn't listen, guys. This is new for me, Charles. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Nice. Oh,
yay!
That is so awesome.
That's
See?
beautiful.
That's how you
That's
know
awesome.
that's
So
how
because-
you know that you have an instructor who wants to see you succeed. That does not happen often.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. He's trying to help you exit. So you guys take that exit and go ahead and build that legacy.
Yes, exit, get out, leave, bye.
Exactly. For sure.
But yeah, so and because you're mentoring one person at a time during the 4 weeks, right? It's not like you got a group of people. So
no, it's just one person at a time. You have all my attention. You are welcome to ask me any questions. And it's not even just the day-to-day things that go on with dispatching, but I'm giving you templates to use. I'm showing you how to file your papers correctly. It's a lot of gems that I'm giving out. Like I said, when you're finished with this apprenticeship program, you'll know exactly what to do and how to do it.
Yeah, you go. Comprehensive and never a dull moment, let me tell you.
yes. There you go. So okay, guys, we'll make that official. Chas and I will have the conversation. But we'll conclude this evening. But Chas and I will have the conversation about the details of it and not my 25% involvement and things like that. Our next class here will be this Saturday at 12 noon. I may have to cancel that because I'm dealing with some warehouse stuff again. But if I do cancel it, I will send out an email letting you guys know. But if not, then it'll be Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And then, of course, obviously, if you can reach me outside of the class, the Zoom trainings, obviously. But yeah, so I'm excited about Chasa's mentorship program. I'm glad that and I appreciate that touched me actually. Valerie's testimony about what she learned and things like that. That was very very inspirational.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I'm glad she's doing it. So now you get your carrier and you start moving loads for your carrier. You're one up on the game, so you got it already. You already know how it's done.
Thank you. Yes.
And then you have a reference. Well, not only do you have one reference point, but now you have two, myself and Chasa.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, yep. Okay, guys, I will see you guys on Saturday.
Okay.
Thanks for attending.
Thank you. Thank you, Chasa. Thank you, Charles.
All right, Chasa,
Thank you,
thank you very
Charles.
much. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.